Okay, wonderful. So let's start. Tony, are you ready?
I am ready.
Wonderful. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. If you are joining our webinars or events for the very first time, I am Farhad Khan, and I'm the CEO of Member Lounge. Member Lounge is a member engagement app, and with Member Lounge, you can create a highly engaging membership community for your membership. With Member Lounge, you can take your member marketing on autopilot so that member engagement just happens without you having to work hard for it. We hold a lot of events during the month, and if you want to find out our events and if you want to learn more about our app, you can find a free demo on our website at memberlounge.app. That is memberlounge, all one word, .app. And today we're excited to have Tony Russell with us. So Tony is the Senior Vice President of Marketing General, and they do this widely popular benchmarking report every year. So I'm so glad that Tony is here to share that with us today. So with that, Tony, I'll let you take it away. So please tell us a bit about yourself and about the report, and then go through it, please.
Well, thanks. It's great to be back with you. It's been, I think, a couple of years since we were able to do a webinar together. So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be back with you again. I think last time you were very kind. I just had a book come out. And you were very kind to do a webinar and highlight the book. So thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be with you all. One of the projects I enjoy most each year that I work on is the Membership Marketing Benchmarking Report. We're in our 15th year of doing it now. I started it 15 years ago, and every year we've sort of enhanced it and tried to do more with it. So I'm really excited to share it with you and share some of the top findings and the results. Should I go ahead and display my some slides, Farhad?
Sure, please.
Okay,
please go ahead.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, let's take a look at it here. So again, really pleased to be with you. We're going to just walk through about 40 minutes of information. And what I've tried to do, it's almost an 80-page report. So what I've tried to do is distill a lot of the information down into a number of slides. I think that makes it a little bit easier to digest than having to read the whole report. Although, if you're having trouble getting to sleep at night, download the report and just and sit down and read it. And I think you'll make it through page 8 or 9. So you can give that a try. So let me just walk through just some basic information. So I'm Tony Russell again, Senior Vice President of Marketing General. I initiated this report 15 years ago. I've been in the field now for 30 years, or actually more than 30 years, 3 decades, working with professional and trade associations, helping them with their marketing and their membership. So again, it's a pleasure to be with you all today. A little bit about our company first. We're 45 years old. As I saw from the list, a number of you know us and have been associated with us. Here's our basic goal as a company. We believe marketing is a critical tool to help associations achieve their goals and to help them accomplish their mission. It's the engine in many cases for that growth and for achieving those goals. So we work with about 40 different professional and trade associations on strategy and execution. Most of our staff are in the Northern Virginia area, but we're now pretty much hybrid. I think we have people in 12 or 13 different states. Let me give you a little background more on the benchmarking report. As I said, it's 15 years old. We've been doing this consistently now every year for 15 years. This last year, we had over 800 associations participate, share their information with us, which we deeply appreciate. And I'm sure some of you on the webinar today were part of that 800 associations. And I just want to say thank you, because there's no webinar today, there's no report without people sharing their information. 2 things I think are maybe important takeaways from the research. One is that the report is driven by what we call correlation. So what we do is we go out and ask associations, what do you do? How do you recruit members? How do you engage your members? How do you renew your members? What are all your practices in the area of membership? And then we also ask, what are your outcomes? Is your membership up? Is it down? Is your new member counts up? What's your renewal rate for new members? What's your renewal rate for existing members? How do you engage members? What products and services are engaging members? And then when we do this unique is we cross-tabulate all that information. So we really feel like we can come out with best practices. What correlates with growth? What correlates with better renewals? What correlates with better engagement? And so that's a really powerful element, is could really come away with best practices that can really support your marketing and your membership work. What's out there is working, and what's holding back associations from success. The second element that I'm really proud of is, having done this for 15 years, we have a lot of trend data. Literally, we've probably had thousands of associations over the 15 years share their data with us. So we've got a lot of longitudinal and trend data, and that can be really important too. Where is the association marketplace going? Where have we seen dips and valleys? Where have we seen outstanding performance and sort of hilltops? You can download. If you haven't seen the report, you're welcome to download it. There's the web address. You're welcome to get your own copy if you don't have one yet. So the report is based on a concept called the membership life cycle. And what we found over the years is that you can't message, you can't communicate, you can't treat people the same depending on where they are in their relationship with your organization. And what we've distilled this down to, and this has been something we've done for almost 20 years now, we've distilled this down to 5 stages of relationship that a member would have with their association, with an organization. The first stage is awareness. No one joins an association unless they know you exist. And what we advocate for is what we call mutual awareness, getting both the prospective member to know you exist, but also getting them to opt in for more information so you have a share of database. We want share of mind and share of database. So that's one aspect of the life cycle. The next is recruitment. What I think is critical for people to realize is membership is what we call a push product. Marketers look at products as being their push or pull. The latest technology gadget, when people line up outside the store to be the first to buy it, that's a pull product. So that's something that you don't need a lot of advertising for. People are going to seek it out. Or that hot Christmas toy, which probably will be announced shortly, and you better get it first if you want to get it for your kids or for your friends. But membership is a push product. It's sold, not sought. I don't think any of you today sort of woke up and said, boy, I've got to find an association to join. It's not something that you were highly attuned to or thought about. So membership requires an outreach, requires invitation. And we'll talk a lot about that today on the webinar. Next is engagement. And again, this is a huge issue for associations. Engagement really is understanding the needs of members and then providing relevant information and getting them to interact with your association. And if there's relevance and interaction, the likelihood of renewals is really high. And we'll talk about first-year members in particular, because engagement's critical for them. The most likely person not to continue with your association is the person who joined in their first year of membership. So we'll talk a little bit that in the area of renewals. And then renewals are a campaign. We're going to talk about what we see working in that area, what's been effective in getting people to renew, and what has been some challenges in the renewal area. And finally, reinstatement. Every relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a membership relationship, it hits bumps in the road. At some point, someone will be disappointed with something. And so a critical part in this relationship journey is to stay in touch with those former members and ask them to come back. Say, hey, we messed up, we fixed it, please come back. Or there's new things that you didn't have before that we've added to the value of our association, and please come back and give us another try. So our report, the overall overarching report is based on these different, each step in this relationship. And we're going to particularly today talk about recruitment, engagement, and renewal, and we'll also touch on reinstatement. And by the way, use the chat. If there's something that I'm not clear about and you'd like some more information, I'm not going to monitor the chat. Farhad will monitor it. And feel free to interrupt me and ping me and say, hey, I need clarification on that. That's not making sense to me. And just do that through the chat, and we'll pause and try to speak to your specific question or issue. So headlines. Here's the biggest headline that is very encouraging news for anyone in the association world. We obviously in 2021 saw some real challenges, 2020 and 2021. In that year, only 26% of associations in our research told us that their overall membership had increased. We saw a bit of recovery in 2022. About 38% of the respondents said, hey, my membership is increasing and we're on a growth trend. What's really exciting is that this year, 49% of associations came to us and said, yeah, we've seen a turnaround, we've seen a rebound, our membership is increasing. So I find that really encouraging. I hope you do too. There is hope for membership. There's good news that membership is seeing a rebound, and almost half of associations have said, yeah, my membership is up this year. On the other side, only 22% said their membership is down. So we're seeing the ones that are really challenged with membership is less than half of those that are seeing an increase in membership. So that's the headline for this year. That's the really encouraging news. Membership, after some really tough times with the pandemic, has really seen a rebound that I think is really encouraging. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's because of the great work you've done with helping your members during these challenging times, and getting them to understand the benefits and the value of what you're offering. I think this is really interesting because, as I said, we've done trend analysis over the last number of years, last 15 years, and there have been sort of hills and valleys in membership. And so when you go back to the Great Recession, which many of you will remember, maybe the youngest here maybe won't remember, they maybe were in school at the time, but back in the late teens or late 2000s, there's the Great Recession. Membership got really hit. In 2010, our report showed that only 36% of associations said their membership had increased that year. The good news is that there was a very strong rebound coming out of that recession. And again, we saw membership reports of 49% increased and then subsequently in the 50% range increase. So in the pandemic, we had a similar situation. We saw in 2020 and 2021 some real challenges with total membership counts, 42% in 2020, 21%, 26% in 2021. And again, we've seen a very nice rebound, as I mentioned, 49% this past year. So we're seeing some really good news and some really good turnarounds in membership and a really strong rebound. And you know, one of the things that jumps out at me, having done this research now for 15 years, is you hear sometimes that, oh, membership doesn't work. You know, we should be a product company, or we should do this or that, or, you know, want to give up on membership. And the thing that I think is really important is with the exception of 2 years in the last 15 years, associations consistently report that their membership is growing. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. I think there's been a lot of resilience, a lot of innovation in associations, but membership is thriving and it's alive and well. And I think some of these numbers, the data says that membership still is an effective tool for connecting an association with their constituency. So what I want to do, spend some time on today to start out with is really talking through some of the key things that we see correlating with that membership growth. Remember, we talked about, we take the practices and the outcomes and cross-tabulate those. I want to highlight 3 areas where we saw very, very strong correlations between the activity and the growth of associations. So let's take a look at each of those in turn. And there's 3 of them I want to walk through. Number 1 is new member acquisition. Groups that have successfully recruited members at a higher rate, we see a strong correlation with growth. And I'll explain that a little bit more. Part of it's intuitive, but part of it's counterintuitive. And I want to share some of that information. Value is hugely important. Groups that are delivering high levels of value and have a strong value proposition, they're seeing there's a correlation there with total membership growth. And then innovation. We're going to talk through some of the innovations that have specifically correlated with growth for some of these membership organizations. So let's first take a look at new member acquisition. So we said total membership was 49% said they'd seen growth in their total membership. The good news is that 50% of the organizations told us this year that they've seen growth in their new member acquisition and their recruitment of new members. So they're putting more people on the top of the funnel. And that's again, a good encouraging sign that groups have been effective in saying, inviting people and getting people to join their organization. But here's an interesting kind of way of looking at that data that I find really, really helpful and really demonstrates that correlation between total growth and the effectiveness of new member recruitment. So as I mentioned, 50% of the associations out there said that, hey, my new member input had increased this past year. Of those, 67% said that they've seen overall total membership growth. So that's that correlation. 67% of those that added new members and grew their new member input said, hey, we're actually growing our total membership. On the flip side, 11% said their new member input had decreased this past year. And of those, only 12% said their total membership had gone up. So if you're not adding those new members, the likelihood of your total membership increasing is substantially reduced. And so that's a critical thing. And we're going to talk a good deal today about some of the aspects of membership recruitment that are particularly effective and helping organizations drive that recruitment number and that acquisition number. But we see, again, a strong correlation between groups that are finding a way to add members and total growth compared to those that are not finding a way to add members and them not seeing that total growth. Here's another one that I think is important to take a look at, and that is value. And this is a little bit disappointing to me, but it's the reality, so I'm sharing it with you. When we asked people, how compelling is your value proposition? What we found is that only 13% of respondents out of these 800 or more associations that we had respond to our research said that they had a very compelling value proposition. 38% said they had a compelling value proposition. So it's not surprising that groups that have that either very or compelling value proposition, we see a strong correlation with total membership growth for those groups. We see about 40% said, somewhat compelling, 8% not compelling, and then not at all compelling, 2%. So I apologize to those of you who are in that 2%, but obviously those groups were a lot less likely to see growth in their total membership. Now, I want to put a little bit of a caveat on some of these numbers, because with 13% saying they have a very compelling value proposition, that in my mind is disappointing, and probably disappointing to all of us that associations would be in that position. Clearly, most companies that are successful see more than 13% of their customers saying they have a very compelling value proposition. I think one of the big challenges in this area is simply this. I think associations have a compelling value proposition, but they haven't fully understood what it is. And I say that because when we look at renewals, we're going to see the median renewal rate for these 800 associations participating in our research is 85%. So if 85% of the members write a check every year and come back year after year after year, they're getting value. There's something they're getting. People don't write checks and don't give you money unless they're seeing some value there. So I think that one of the challenges is not that associations don't have value. I think that one of the challenges is that simply that they don't understand what that value is and aren't fully aware of the value they're delivering to members. That works great for renewal. Even if you don't fully understand your value proposition, but people come back year after year, your renewals are going to be fine. That's why we have 85%. Here's the challenge with that. For non-members, they join because of perceived value. You have to be able to articulate and present that value to non-members. You can't just say, hey, there's some value here, come and find it. You need to present that value to prospective members. So members join for perceived value, members renew for received value. And we're doing great on received value. It looks like we're having more of a challenge on that perceived value side. And let's look at more detail on that one. So we asked people, what prevents your association from offering a more compelling value proposition? And this sort of supports, I think, the point that I was making, in that the number one challenge that associations have with their value proposition, again, is not that they don't have it. They're really having an inability to articulate that value proposition to their members and to their prospective members. So it's, again, not that there's no value, it's the fact that they don't know how to present it. How do we get that? How do we solve that problem? a key thing to solve that is two-pronged. One is research. We're big advocates of researching and going to your members and going to your prospects and asking them what they need, but asking the members, what are you receiving that's really invaluable to us? Amazing things come out of that research sometimes that we didn't anticipate. Understanding that then allows us then to message more effectively for engagement, for renewal, and especially for recruitment. So that's certainly one area of that helps us articulate that, is doing that research. Here's another one that I find really interesting that we had a client do recently that proved to be very effective. So they have a pretty successful value proposition, but they really wanted to get a better handle on other things they should be presenting to prospective members. And so what they did, we worked with them and we came up with 7 different sustainable, provable, true value propositions, 7 different ways of looking at the value that they were delivering to members. And so then we went out to prospective members and with digital marketing, with email, and did tests of all 7 different options to see what would draw in the most new members, what was the most effective way to present the value proposition. And fascinating, one of them came out way ahead. And it was the one we had been using was number 2. So it's good we weren't running down the street the wrong way. But the number 1, we did find one that was really, really powerful. And it was a true representation of the value they were delivering and was proved to be the most effective. So whether it's doing research or whether it's doing tests, market tests, trying to find a way to articulate and present the value you're delivering is a critical opportunity that to look at. So value proposition is that second correlation with effective total membership growth. And here's the third one that correlates really closely with total membership growth, and that's being innovative. Again, only 5% of associations said that they were extremely innovative. 20% said they were very innovative. The good news is, again, those groups that were high on innovation, trying new things, doing things, putting new programs into place, reaching out in different ways, we saw again a correlation with membership growth there. For groups that thought that really see themselves as not very innovative, perhaps it's an old boys network, perhaps it's various challenges with trying to be innovative. They were much more likely to see declines in their total membership. So innovation's a really important aspect. We asked people then, okay, what kind of innovations have you done? What are the things you're putting in place that are innovative? And 2 things came out in particular that again correlated with total membership growth. Number 1 was developing 1 or more new membership benefits. And that makes total sense. If innovation is trying new things, is delivering better products and services to your members. The second one was expanding to new market segments and reaching new audiences. That again, so we saw a correlation with that with membership growth. And those are 2 classic strategies for growth. One is growing share of wallet. It's basically adding new products and services to engage your members at a deeper level, to providing services that help bind them to you, that increase the stickiness of your association, that meet needs that we've discovered coming out of research, but also thinking creatively about who we can serve beyond the core membership. Are there people that we can reach out to and bring on board and add them to our portfolio of members? Those 2 innovations, finding new market segments and those development of new products and services, definitely correlated with growth and were the top drivers of innovation for associations. Again, I'm happy to pause if there's things that came up that people want some clarification on before we dive into the next section here.
I have a quick follow-up question here, Tony. So
Sure.
when we say organizations who kind of like extended their audience beyond core members, how would you define beyond core members? Who are they?
Great question. The classic market expansion organization that we all are familiar with is AARP, which is they go by the acronym about the American Association of Retired People. That organization was started as a retired teacher organization, and they built a benefit package. And then they said, you know what? There might be other retired people that would like to join. So they went beyond teachers and went to just senior citizens and offered that membership to them. It used to be, I think, 65 and over that could join. And then they lowered it to 60 and over. And then they lowered it to 55 and over. But at each of those stages, we've done some studies and some case studies on this. At each of those stages, as they went to a broader audience, they're able to grow their membership substantially. So that would be a classic case of expansion. Other situations are, the Veterinary Medical Association, so vets. One of the things we've seen with some of those organizations is beyond just serving the veterinarian, they've gone to and provided services to the vet techs and the people in the practice. And again, that enhances the service package that those vets are able to deliver to their customers, because they're going to have more informed, trained staff people. But again, it adds to the overall numbers of members and helps serve the vets and actually serve the public also. So that would be two examples, I think, of thinking through other new markets that we can reach out to. Does that help?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to add to that as well. So we had a client in a similar role as well. So they're a writers union in Canada. So they were primarily serving writers who had already published a book. But then when we did a audit workshop with them, we realized that there was this huge pool of aspiring writers who who needed the exact same things, right? But they were not being served. So then we told our client that, hey, you know what, you need to serve these aspiring writers somehow, so do something about them, even if you give away free webinars or free content, they will become members soon, right? So, and then that was a huge win for them.
That's brilliant. You guys really served them well. That's a brilliant strategy. One other quick example, because I love this market expansion strategy. For several clients now, we are reaching out in a workforce development manner, speaking to high school students and college students and recent grads, introducing them to the field and getting them engaged with wanting to join and wanting to participate. So if you have the budget for it, it's expensive, obviously, but even reaching younger people and trying to bring those high school students and college students on board can be another market expansion strategy. And we do see in research that sometimes folks that have started a membership in college, obviously they may drop off or come back, but those are in many cases, when we do research with individual associations, they say, I found out about this when I was in college. I found out about the association when I was in college. But great points. So, I mentioned that, membership recruitment we saw a strong correlation with membership recruitment and innovating in membership recruitment with total growth. So what I want to do now is get a little bit more specific, and going back to that membership life cycle, I want to step into the things we've found specifically in the area of membership recruitment that have shown to be very effective in growing membership. So let's take a look at that area. I want to talk through what associations are doing to recruit members, what's working, and then how do they compare with some other groups. So I want to start with looking at membership recruitment here, the second step of our membership life cycle. So, there's 5 big picture drivers for effective marketing, effective membership recruitment marketing. And the number one is your target audience, your target market. So one of the first steps that in planning for any membership recruitment efforts is really to think through, who am I trying to reach? Obviously, the best people to start with are people who are already in your database. Those are your lapsed members. Those are your people who have purchased a product or attended a meeting. So that's the first place to start. But you want to also think through creatively, are there other groups that we can reach out to? Are there other people we can speak to? And that can be through a number of different mechanisms. It can be through content marketing, so you're showing digital ads and people finding you through search, or you can be going to third-party lists and reaching out to those people through third-party lists. But number one is defining who you want to reach. You start with the easiest people at the top of the pyramid, your lapsed members and your customers, and work your way deeper and deeper into those target markets. Second is really developing and articulating that compelling value proposition. And again, Testing can be a really powerful tool to do that. Market research can be a very powerful tool to do that. But we need a really clear statement of, okay, what's in it for me? Why should I give you my money? How am I going to personally benefit, or how's my company going to benefit from this? Third is membership offers. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but this area is the most controversial. And I'm always surprised about this. So you can share your hate in the chat if you want, but having an incentive to get people to join is a powerful tool to move people to make that decision to join. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I will say, if you think about it, any marketing you get, if you get an invitation to sign up for a credit card, they're going to say low rate, low initial rate. For cars, they're going to do a low interest rate, or they're going to do a rebate. For Amazon Prime, they're going to say, we'll give you 3 months free. Any marketing you receive from anybody has an incentive in it. And I think sometimes associations really struggle with this and say, well, if we have a pure membership offer, if someone wants the benefits, they'll join. But there's a lot of people on the fence, and they need that little bit of a push to get them over the line. So offers are very important. Finding the marketing channels to reach your prospects is critical. And we've seen dramatic changes in the area of marketing channels and what's working. One of the things we're seeing more and more is using an omni-channel or multi-channel approach as being effective. And then finally, budget is really important. Many of you may be in this situation, but we come across associations all the time that, in my mind, are giving their membership directors a starvation budget, a starvation diet to grow their membership. They're setting goals. I met with one group one time, and they had a goal of having 2,500 members by the year 2025. And after the first year or two, they weren't getting there. And they called me in and said, Tony, what's the problem? Why aren't we growing? And I said, well, what's the plan? And they said, well, we don't have a plan. We have a goal, but we don't have a plan. And I said, well, what's the budget? Oh, we didn't allocate any money for that. Well, if you're not allocating money, if you don't have a plan, the likelihood of achieving those goals is pretty slim. And so one of the things that's critical in this area, in the area of budget, is understanding things like lifetime value and being able to make the case for a budget based on lifetime value. If you have an 80% renewal rate, you're going to keep a member for 5 years. You can multiply that dues rate by 5 to show the annuity value of a member. Members are your best customers, so you have that non-dues revenue coming in. So budget is a critical thing also as we put together our recruitment plans. So in our research, why do people join? And a couple things came out overall that correlate with groups that are seeing growth. Number one is networking with others in the field is a powerful opportunity, and we see a real strong correlation with growth. So providing members with that opportunity to learn from each other, to build their business with each other, to gain information, to gain insight by interacting with each other. That's a huge opportunity, and there's a strong correlation with growth. Learning best practices in their profession, again, is a very, very strong driver. People want to grow. They want to advance their career. They want to do their job better. And being able to demonstrate that you're going to learn something, you're going to benefit, you're going to grow your ability to move your career forward, to do your job better, that's a strong one. Not surprisingly, with trades, there's slightly different reasons for why join. One was accessing special information and current information that might be regulatory information, it might be legal information, but not minimizing the risk of my company running into problems by giving me the information I need and helping my company to be more effective. And the second one, not surprisingly, is supporting advocacy. That's another huge correlation for trades with growth. So as you build your value proposition in your trade association, that specialized information and demonstrating that advocacy can be really important. Now, anyone here who's on a trade association realizes that one of the challenges with teaching advocacy is there's a lot of free riders. So a company is really glad you're doing the advocacy, but they may say, well, let someone else pay for it. But communicating that, hey, the advocacy doesn't happen unless your company is part of us, it can be a powerful part of your messaging for why join. Why not join? So declines, when you see membership declines, we go back to that value issue. They don't see value in the membership. So again, we need to be able to articulate that perceived value to get people to join. And when we can't communicate that perceived value, then we see that likelihood of them deciding not to join. And then secondly, that, again, that inability to articulate that value proposition. So they're really hand in hand, is both having that value. They don't see the value, but they don't see the value probably because you're not articulating it clearly. But those two things, again, we come back to value. Those two things are some of the challenges and correlate with groups that are not seeing their membership growing. All right, so my controversial piece here, the offer. We did ask people what offers were most effective in getting people to join. And not surprisingly, conference or convention discount was number one by a wide margin. And a lot of groups will say, hey, join now and get the member rate, and that can be really a good opportunity. One of the important things there, though, is people are joining for the conference, not for the membership. So you've got to be very careful to engage them and get them involved post-conference. And so even though that's the most likely one to people to use and they see effectiveness with it, that requires a lot of follow-up. Second one is a dues discount for the first year. And again, my apologies to those of you who have a problem with that. We have tested this over and over, a straight join now or join now with a discount, and consistently that dues discount outpulls that straight join now offer. What we've also done in a couple of associations that has been really interesting, we've done some longitudinal studies. So we've been able to track people who joined on the discount versus those who joined without the discount. And we've looked at them over a 3-year period. And we found basically that the discount people did not leave at a higher rate than the join full price. We saw a very little, saw a very gradual decline in renewals in those people, but we saw such a big jump in the front end that you still ended up 3 years later with a lot more members by offering a dues discount. Another one that's very popular is additional months free. This works really well with groups that have a calendar year membership instead of an anniversary membership. So if all your membership year runs from January through December or whatever the months might be, saying to them, hey, it's September, join now and we'll give you October, November, and December free. So we'll give you 15 months when you join now and you pay for 12 months, which for the subsequent year. That can be really effective. And it really beats having someone join in September and then getting a renewal invoice 3 weeks later saying, oh, you need to pay for 2024. So that can be really effective. Product discounts and vouchers can work. And that's a good way of getting people to be introduced to the products and services you're offering. So you say, join now, we'll give you $50 off on your first purchase from our organization, but that gets them engaged buying products and using products. Nice thing about that is the redemption rate is not super high, so you can offer actually a very high dollar amount on that voucher. And the ones who use it, great. They get engaged with the organization. They use your products and services. The people that don't use it, you're not losing anything for that, but they're still joining because there's that high perceived value of that voucher. So those are some of the offers we're seeing work really well. Certainly premiums work well. We have a large medical association that we offer water bottles to when they join, and they get a logoed water bottle. That seems to do really well. So sometimes those products can work well, and as a fulfillment piece when someone puts that code into the join app on your website. So don't give up on offers. Here's another one that's really important, and that's channels. And not surprisingly, people think that email is the most effective channel, and it is. It's low cost. It's very effective. You're reaching people with high frequency. You can test and try different offers, and those can be very effective. So no problem with email. Here's the challenge, though. You can see what your open rates are. You can see what your click-through rates are. There's not everyone opens your email, not everyone looks at your email. And the other thing that happens sometimes is you burn out your email lists. If you're continually emailing people over time, they're going to at some point unsubscribe and not say, I've had enough from your organization. I don't want to join. I'm going to drop out. So we're big believers in multi-channel recruitment efforts. And that might mean using email. It might mean using direct mail. It might mean offering content offers, using digital ads to say, hey, we have a white paper for you. We have some specialized information for you. One of the things we do is we create the benchmarking report as a service to the association industry, but also it's a way of providing value and recognition for that we know something about membership and we can be of service to organizations. So think through, are there multiple channels that you can use to reach prospective members and not just be reliant on a single channel? That's a big flaw for many groups. I will say, even going back to groups that relied on their conference or meeting for membership recruitment, during the pandemic, that got really hammered. And that's part of the reason I think we didn't see a growth in total membership in those years, because there weren't the conferences in many cases didn't take place. So there wasn't that opportunity to get members from that. So think multiple channels when you're looking at membership recruitment. Again, associations that use some of these channels, email, association-sponsored events and meetings, personal sales calls was obviously for trades very good. Chapters and effectively getting your chapters to assist you was very good for IMOs, for individual membership associations. But I want to encourage thinking through, are there multiple channels that we can use to reach people instead of just being so reliant on email? A couple other things related to recruitment strategies that I think are good to keep in mind. Again, we ask people, what strategies and tactics are you finding most effective in membership recruitment? What are some of the things that, and then what are some of those strategies that correlate with membership growth? Providing a join button is interesting, and I'm a big believer in that, and especially on the front page of your website. It's interesting. We have a client that was seeing really good growth in membership, and then all of a sudden we saw a dip, and we said, "What's going on? Why is membership not increasing?" And we went to the website and we said, "Wait a minute! Didn't there used to be a big join button on the front of the homepage?" And they said, "Yeah, we took that off. It didn't look good." And I said, "Well, it might not look good, but it certainly helped you get members." So, having that easy, accessible way to join when someone hits your website is critical. But using compelling "what's in it for me" messaging, again, that ties in with value proposition. Tailoring your message to the market segment you're going after. So if you're going after those vet techs that I mentioned before versus the veterinarian themselves, obviously you want to make the case for that vet tech. Hey, here's why you should consider membership. Here's the benefits that you'll get from that. And then, obviously conducting member research. We saw a good correlation there with membership growth. And, the research, basically the goal there is understanding both lapsed members, prospects, and current member needs, and drawing out the value that they're seeking so that we can then go back and explain what's in it for me with our messaging. We're seeing a lot more organizations really understand the need for research. And now that budgets are getting a little better, we're seeing a lot of groups come to us and say, hey, it's time, I need to do some research. And that can take the form of online focus groups, which are a really beautiful tool for getting feedback from people around the country and around the world. Obviously, quantitative research is powerful, but executive interviews can also be really useful. Actually, getting some people to spend a half an hour on the phone with you saying, hey, here's what I value, here's how I'm benefiting from the membership. But getting that research done so you can more clearly have the what's in it for me messaging and present value is very important. One channel that we've seen incredible growth with over the years is paid digital advertising. And 37% of associations said they're doing that now with Facebook, search engine marketing, LinkedIn advertising, and using marketing automation platforms. We're seeing strong correlations using those platforms with membership growth. Here's the thing, especially with search engine marketing, people are looking for something. The reason they do a search is because they're trying to find an answer. They're trying to find help. They're trying to find a solution. And so having your association not show up number 27 on page 14 of Google, but be right there at the top with a specific message that says, hey, we have resources, we have information that can answer your questions, click here, and taking them to a specific page to get them to join is really powerful. We're seeing right now, I would say, probably we're working with about 40 different associations. About 35 of them are having really good success with digital marketing. The other 5 are not doing digital marketing, they're doing something else. But that's an important channel, and it can be a direct ad that says join or attend our conference. It can be a content piece that says, hey, get some, download a guide. With one client, we have a guide to careers in the field. And so that's how we've reached out to college students, is they download a guide that says, hey, here's the steps you should take to work in our field and to advance your career in our field. So that's a really powerful avenue, something I'd really recommend if you're not doing, giving it a try. And it's not self-running. That's one thing to keep in mind. It's not self-running. It does take someone like a day trader to be watching what keywords are working. How do we follow that click all the way through to the join or the download? But with time and effort, it can be a really powerful tool for growth. Farhad, I don't know if there's any other comments that I might have skipped over or wanted more details on as I move through this fairly quickly.
Yeah, so I think I have 2 quick questions and thoughts in general. In the
Okay.
previous slide, you mentioned it's so important to mention what's in it for me. And I think in my experience, last couple of years, 100% of the associations I spoke to did not have a good what's in it for me on their website. 100%, right? So maybe there was a headline, there was something, who we are, what we do, there was that, right? But what's in it, for the association member, the member focus on the homepage was non-existent completely.
Yeah.
We always saw a lot of discussions about who we are, right? But what does the member need? Why is it not there on the headline of the website?
That's so well said. Yeah, I mean, people don't really care that your association was started in 1920, and that you've been around for a long time. You're absolutely right, and that's and again, we saw a strong correlation with growth for people who have that messaging and are able to do that. So that's a great point. Totally agree with you. What was the second question?
The second thought was that you talked about running paid ads. So whenever we are running paid ads, we want to route the traffic to a good marketing engine or a funnel, like something that's a high value offer. What are the best offers you have seen?
So again, it's a great question and great point. The ones that we've seen, again, it depends on the segment you're trying to go after. If you're going after people who are new to the profession, we've seen really good success with people having a guide to the profession. How do I get involved? How do I find my first job? What is the education I need? Who are the companies that are recruiting, et cetera. Another one that they have huge success with is compensation surveys. And you don't give them the whole survey, but they give you their contact information, and you can access the highlights of that compensation survey. Everyone wants to know who's in a profession. Am I making what I should be making? How do I compare with other people? So those can be all good tools. And then the third thing is critical information. One client, what we did is we went through their periodicals for the past year and pulled out what we thought were some of the best articles that were most informative, most relevant. And so we just created this best of 2022 PDF that people could download. So if someone could download the top articles from that association for the past year. And the power of that is they can say, wow, there's really good stuff here. There's really good information. I want to get the 2023 articles. I'm going to join. So those are some of the pieces. We do work, again, just one other quick example, for people who are even younger, we do, how to finance your education in this field. So if it's lawyers or if it's medical people, having a document that talks through, here's the financial options and here's the way to finance, law school, your nursing school, your medical school. So those are some of the things. Very practical, but having a set aside microsite so that you can track where people come from, what ads they clicked on specifically, and drive them to that site. You're trading content for contact, so then you're going to capture their opt-ins so that you can have a clean opt-in to follow up. A lot of times we build into those microsites trigger emails. So right after they download it, 2 days later they get another opportunity for more information. 4 days later they get another. A week later they get another. So it's a continuous stream of communications. Does that help?
Yep. So one example I can think of, like for one of our clients, what we did is we looked at the Google Analytics and found out what was the most visited page on the site. Which was one page that was the most visited page, right? And then we turned that into an article, and then we turned that into a campaign.
Brilliant. Yep. I think that's a very practical way for folks to think through. How can we, what piece of content should we put out there and offer to people? Very, very smart. Here's this budget issue that I mentioned earlier. The good news is 36% of associations increased their membership recruitment budget this year. Very encouraging. You have to spend money to make money. And I think, the interesting thing is everyone who's on this webinar today really believes this. The challenge is, how do I convince my board? How do I convince the leadership of the organization? And again, the critical ways to do that are calculating the lifetime value. Pretty simple. And I have at the very end of the slides today, I have a document that shares all the formulas for these things. But lifetime value is you take your lapse rate and divide it into 1. So if you have a 80% renewal rate, you have 20% lapse rate, divide that 0.20 into 1, means people are staying for 5 years. If you have a 90% renewal rate, we saw that some people had that, means you're keeping people for 10 years. And so when people understand that, boy, I'm going to get 10 years of dues if I bring a member in, how much do you want to spend to achieve that? You can spend a lot more than you can spend on a lot of other things. Another thing that we recommend is running a steady state analysis. And again, that information is in the, there's a white paper that I'll share at the end, that it's information there. But you can calculate, knowing how many new members you're bringing in and knowing your lapse rate, you can calculate where your membership is headed. And one of the challenges with a declining membership is it happens incrementally. You don't go from 10,000 to 5,000 in 1 year. You go from 10,000 to 9,500. But the steady state analysis allows you to basically project, okay, what's my equilibrium? Where am I headed? And knowing that, it wakes up a lot of people to say, look, if we don't do something, we're not going to be 10,000 members. We're going to be 4,000 members. And that wakes up people and they say, we really need to invest in a budget to recruit more members. Good news is a lot of associations, 36%, have said, hey, we are increasing our budget. And I'm sure that was one of the drivers for seeing the new member increase that we saw this last year. Let's talk a little bit about engagement. And I'll keep things moving pretty quickly here because I know that we want to have some Q&A at the end of our time today. One of the things I love doing the most in this research is asking people where they have seen participation increase for their association over the last year. And here's one of the very encouraging things is that 58% of the respondents said attendance at their in-person annual meeting or conference has increased. So we're seeing a huge rebound in the level of people going to face-to-face meetings. We're seeing a big growth in people going to visit the members-only portion of the website. We're seeing participation in social media growing, and there's one thing here that I wanted to point out, and I just got to pull it out here. We certainly see career services, we see webinar increases, we see virtual conferences, even though the other is growing well, we see, but we're seeing people participate more, and I don't see it right here, but in private social networks, and something that you all do is your member lounge, which is, a way for those members to create, to interact, to collaborate, to grow together. And that's something we've seen, again, as a really important engagement piece, is people finding those members only sites where they can interact, where they can share information, where they can network. And you may want to comment a little bit about that. And I apologize, I had that on here and I don't know where that data point went. But go
I
ahead.
think that's there. That's the number 3 right there. Number of visits to members only section of website. So that is the members
Correct.
only area. So
Yes, exactly.
So the one thing that we truly believe in and we have seen great success with is that your member engagement is really driven by the members only area on the website. So your public website and the members only area, they cannot be the same, so because
Yeah.
the audience for the two pieces are very different. The public website is really for prospective members and for the rest of the world, for everyone, who hasn't joined yet. But once the member has joined, you have to give them an exclusive area where they can log in and they can see all the benefits, they can gain all the benefits in one place. So we have seen a lot of times associations would combine their public website and the members only like members area all together. Then the navigation is all jumbled up. Like you don't know what you're clicking on. If you want to find members only resources, then you don't know where to go. There are like navigations after navigations, right? So I think that's why like the member engagement is like really powerful if you have a members only area, like member lounge, like our product. So like you don't have to use our product, but as long as you have like a well-defined member login area where members can log in, they can connect with one another and get all the benefits in one place. People have like a very low attention these days. So if they just see a shiny link or something else, they'll get distracted. So that's why you have to make sure that all the benefits you want to share, they're all in one place for the members.
Yeah, well said. And I've heard that so many times. In fact, some of the open-ended questions we have that people said they really struggle with is, I said, everything on our website's free, so why should someone join? And not segregating out those things. Your public website is, for information for the press or for the public, but it's also, the main goal there is to get someone to actually become a customer. And again, that's one of the reasons we've had to use microsites so often, is if you drive people to the regular website, they get lost and they never make a decision to join. If you drive them right to a content site or to a join page, then you can actually close the deal with them. So, as far as new member onboarding, I mentioned before, one of the critical things to do and one of the most likely people to leave is, and we'll see some statistics on that, are your first year members. So here's what some of the things where people are doing to get those new members onboarded. The one that we see, two of them we see really good correlation with increased renewal rates are invitations to join the association sponsored online community. So a place where people can go interact with their colleagues, but it's member exclusive, as we just talked about. And then in-person receptions or orientations. For the folks who are your new members coming in from with a conference discount, having something at your conference for them so they can engage, meet people, and interact is again a strong correlation with that growth, better renewals. 10-year member engagement. One of the things we see a correlation with is obviously ongoing engagement, email series, requests to volunteer, invitations to follow and like the association's social media. Those are all things that have been used effectively by associations to get their tenured members engaged. One of the things we saw with a clear correlation, again, with growth is that membership research is getting out in front of members, understanding what they need, and then providing it. One of the things I share with people is when I started in this industry over 30 years ago, if you wanted to join an association, here's what you had to do. You had to call up information and you had to say, hey, I need the phone number for ABC Association in Chicago. And you get it, you call them and say, hey, I'd like to join. And then they'd say, okay, we'll send you an application. 6 days later, you get your application. You'd write a check, fill out the form, you'd send it in. Maybe 3 weeks later, you get a welcome kit that was a big fat welcome kit with tons of stuff in it. And maybe 7 weeks later, you get your first magazine, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm really proud of with associations is they have shown resiliency. Today, after 30 years, everything has changed. You have websites, you have virtual conferences, you have virtual webinars, you have digital marketing, you have texting, you have all these different things. So associations have advanced really, really quickly. And changes are going to continue to happen, especially artificial intelligence is going to make some major changes in the world. And so keeping your finger on the pulse of members through regular research is fundamental to really understand and keep on top of things. How do people want to interact? Are you sending out too much email, too little email? What are the relevant issues they're dealing with? That research is a critical part in keeping those tenured members happy and involved. Let me talk real quick about renewals. And again, we see some good news here, but I'll finish this really quickly because I think I'm going a little bit over, so I apologize. But we have had a couple questions at least, so that's good. Hey, the great news is median renewal rates for associations, when you look at total associations, it's 85%. IMOs are a little bit lower with 81%. Trade associations are always higher. They're running at 90%. And combination associations are 83%. Combination associations are groups that have both an individual component and an organizational component. And all of our research is broken out by these categories. So if you download the report, you'll be able to look at, okay, what's happening with trade groups or what's happening with IMOs. Here's the interesting thing. These numbers have been incredibly consistent. We did see, it went from 84 to 85 overall, but these numbers are incredibly consistent. Associations do a great job on keeping members, and you should be honored and wonderful work there. And I go back to the recruitment element. The lever for growth is that recruitment, is getting those new members to join. You're doing a great job at keeping members, and most for-profit companies would be glad to say, 85 or 90% of my customers come back year after year after year. You're doing that, and that's terrific. So you're delivering real value. The lever is getting those new members in. First-year members is a challenge still, and we did see the median renewal rate for first-year members, as I mentioned, why it's so important to engage them, is about 75% total. IMOs struggle. 63% of your first-year members renew. 85% for trade, 70% for combination associations. About 46% of the IMOs said we have less than a 60% renewal rate on first-year members. So again, that engagement, that onboarding is really, really the huge opportunity for you to impact that overall renewal rate. What's working on renewals? Clearly, email, phone calls, and those are especially the case for trades and for smaller groups of membership. But mail there's a strong correlation with mail and renewals. And I still get debates, and I see this on ASA's Collaborate, people saying, do I really need to send out renewal notices? Does that really work? Yes, they work. Your emails aren't getting all opened. Mail is incredibly powerful for renewals. People, especially if they put their get approval for a renewal, need that renewal notice. A renewal notice is ideally looks like an invoice. It can't be an invoice. You can't say invoice on your renewal pieces because there's no obligation to pay, but you can make it look like an invoice. And that is really a powerful tool. It's interesting because we handle renewals for a number of clients. And what we do is a client might have 2 or 3 mailed notices, and we test a 4th, and we see it very profitable. We test a 5th, we see it very profitable. With an 85% response rate, it's almost impossible to lose money in renewal efforts. And so just relying on email is a no-no. I really encourage people to include mail in that. And we see really good success of telemarketing because sometimes people don't get the mail, and this is especially true during the pandemic when people are working from their home. But a phone call does get through very often and can be really effective in getting people to renew their membership. What's members, why they don't renew? Engagement. And we saw that especially with the first-year members. Lack of value. Again, being able to articulate that value even for current members. Here's an interesting one, though, is forgot to renew. With 32% of associations saying the main reason our members don't renew is they forgot. And that speaks again to multiple touches, multiple channels, using that direct mail, perhaps calling. One of the things we do for a lot of clients is we upload their renewal file to Facebook and have a custom audience. So they see on their Facebook page or their LinkedIn page, hey, it's time to renew. Click here, and it takes you directly to that renewal site. So those are some of the things that are preventing and hurting renewal efforts for associations. Reinstatement, again, a multi channel strategy is really effective. For a trade or for a small number of clients, I'll tell you, a staff phone call can be very powerful, but direct mail works, telemarketing works. And one of the things we're seeing increasing a little bit every year is texting. Getting that opt-in from an organization to say, yes, you can, for an individual saying, yes, you can text me, and giving that alert that, hey, it's time to renew, can be really important. Where I'd start if in any of these areas is inviting lapsed members to come back. I think that's the easiest place. People always say, well, how do I get started? Do a campaign with email, mail, digital to your former members, ask them to come back. You may be sitting on a gold mine. And if they don't come back, then you got to circle back and say, we got some real value issues that we need to speak to. You can download the full report. Go to Marketing General or this link, and you can download the full report. And there's a couple resources. As I said, you can download the full report. I did mention we have a guide to membership metrics. It talks about how to calculate renewal rate, how to calculate lifetime value, how to calculate steady state analysis. Those are all important calculations that I think all membership people should be fluent in to make the case for membership. And then lastly, I did write a book, and Farhad, you were so kind to highlight that in a previous webinar. It's available on Amazon. So if you want to deep dive into how to recruit more members, you're more than welcome to purchase that book. It's available on Amazon. And I think it's useful. I hope you do too. So you can take a look at that if you want. With that, why don't I stop sharing and we have some conversation here.
Sure, for sure, yeah. Tony, you can keep the screen if you want, if you need to switch back to any slides for any reference. By the way, okay. I read Tony's book. It's a wonderful book. You should definitely read it if you're trying to grow your member recruitment and then member engagement overall. So, Tony, a few quick questions that I have, follow-up questions. You mentioned very early on in the slides that lack of a well-defined value proposition was one of the biggest challenges from growing membership. So how would you articulate the value proposition properly? Do you have any formula or any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I did mention, research and testing, and those are two basic ones. But here's something that we've done with organizations that can be effective is to lay out on a table all your benefits. And so you might have the magazine on the table. You might have printout pages for your career center or different things. And then go through those and say, not just, hey, we have a career center, and not just say it's a way to get a job, but think through the next step. And the career center actually is your opportunity to get the job of your dreams. So that's the value of that career center, to get the job of your dreams. So it's not that you have a career center, it's not that you could find a job, but you're saying the real value is we want to help you achieve what you want to achieve, and we're here to help you with that. And this career center will help you find the job that you've always dreamed of. And so it's turning it not just from a feature, not even just a benefit, but of something that is valuable to me and will make a difference in my life.
Got it. Yeah. And another quick thought, I guess, at one point you mentioned discounting and then offers, promo offers, whenever you want to influence a member to buy now. So the offers are very powerful. So I just want to add one thought there. So whenever a member is buying a membership whenever a prospect is buying a membership for the very first time, your association is unknown to them. So they're taking a big risk with $100 or $1,000, whatever they're paying. So they're taking a risk, to get the membership because they don't know the membership value yet. So they're paying on the perceived value. They're taking a risk. By lowering the price a little, by giving them another promotional offer, you are lowering the risk a little as well. Mm-hmm. So you're dangling that carrot, but also lowering the risk. So both work at the same time.
Very well said, and that was very nicely put. One offer that we've had good success with that I don't think we mentioned in the benchmark report is a no obligation membership, and we've used this successfully with groups. And basically, the way that works, it's not a free trial, but it's like a free trial. You'll go out and say, "Hey, join now. You have no obligation. Only you're agreeing that we'll be able to invoice you. So not a renewal notice, but an actual invoice. And because they've said, yes, I want an invoice. And then when you get that invoice, if you like what you're getting, you can pay it. If you don't like what you're getting, you can write cancel and you'll owe nothing. So it's a way of people sampling membership, but but there's a strong proclivity for invoices to be paid, and but it takes away that risk, especially on a big dollar membership. So we've had good success with that over the years.
Got it. Got it. So we have a question from Allison. So Allison is asking, wondering about setting membership pricing and increasing. Any guidance on the membership like dues increase process?
A dues increase process?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, in our 2022 benchmarking report, we have had a series of about 10 questions. Every year we we try different questions. So if you download that 2022 report, you'll see what people said worked best in presenting a dues increase, what didn't work best, what the impact that dues increase had on total membership and on renewals. Some really good data there. One of the things that I advocate is people understand that prices go up. And so try to avoid those Herculean 50% dues increases. Do some incremental increases over time. And I think you're going to find that generally speaking, people accept that and it's not an issue. One time you will have a problem though, and we see this occasionally. Let's say your association dues now are $98. When you go over that $100 mark, you're going to be hitting a price point because you're going to be $100 whatever dollars, and so you will see some more pushback on that. But going from $65 to $69 is not going to be an issue for people. So I think people worry a little bit too much about that, but you want to avoid those huge increases. And if you're going to do a huge increase, you're going to have to make a really case for it. One other quick thing: never announce a dues increase at an annual meeting or convention, because then people will start talking and you'll get a rebellion. You want to do it outside of those times when members are getting together.
And I guess sometimes people cannot justify the price increase. Many associations cannot justify the price increase. But what's happening in general and how we can articulate this is that like every year our resource library is getting better. We're adding better content for you. Like every service is is better. It's improving. So we are able to provide better services to a wider membership. And then as the membership grows, we have to kind of like make sure that we're able to invest in the content and everything that we have. So this little increase is just to justify that investment and make sure that we can continue to provide the great service that we have. And
yeah, it's a good point. Part of it is, one of the things we found is that if you're doing a normalized increase, it's not a huge amount. Typically don't say anything to people. Now you might have something on the website, you might have something in the newsletter, but most people accept and fully understand that prices are going to go up a few dollars, or and don't need a deep explanation. In some ways, you don't want to give them a chance to think through too much. Oh, did I really want that extra value? Is it worth it or not? So a lot of times you have to make it public, but you don't have to in your renewal notice say, by the way, we're increasing dues. You don't have to make an announcement about it in every single communication.
all right. So
I just want one quick thing.
Sure.
Walmart used to have commercials. They used to say prices are falling, but you never see a Walmart sign that says prices are going up.
Yep, absolutely. And they're falling like forever. Every ad says falling. Like
exactly.
How can it fall?
I'm sure some prices have gone up, but they don't announce that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'll take the next question from Carolyn Ascent. So Carolyn is asking, should we really be focused on creating email lists when we have data collection restrictions, firewalls, and junk email?
Yes, you should. One of the things that we've talked about today is content marketing. And the power of that is you're trading some of your content for them to opt in to receiving emails from you. So you're going to get a clean opt-in. So you have issues. You need to be CASL compliant, GDPR compliant. You want to be able to demonstrate you have a clean opt-in. But if you're giving away a valuable thing, it's reasonable that you're going to have that opt-in. So I think it's really important to build your email list. But and with content marketing, you're getting new emails in because at some point people change their address or they're not going to join because you've hit them dozens of times. But yes, I'm a big believer in finding ways to get to build your database, and that goes back to one of the very early things I said. It's you want share of mind, so you want people to know you exist, but you need share of database to be able to have that dialogue and that interaction. And on your content pieces, you can ask for a mailing address. And so you can use mail for that person. If you're gaining that information, you can, if give you an opt-in, you can use that as a custom audience to show them digital ads. So there's all sorts of things you can do with an email address besides just email them.
Okay. So next question is from Gerald Bram. Oh, hey Gerald. I don't know if you're here. So Gerald is asking, what are your thoughts on the impact of AI on the association world?
Well, I'm an old guy, so I do use AI. I use ChatGPT and things. We are going to focus next year and have a whole series of questions on AI in our benchmark report. We have not addressed it in the past. So you actually might have more insight on this than I would on what you're seeing in AI. That's not an area of expertise for me at this point.
Yeah, so I can comment on that a little. So I think the impact of AI, this is like manifold. So first of all, in your marketing, I think whenever you're generating marketing content, be it like headlines or like any article, you definitely should like use AI tools like ChatGPT to run your headlines, run your content through ChatGPT to see like how will it rank. I'll give away one key secret that we do. So when we actually like do whenever we hold a webinar, the webinar title, we ask ChatGPT like the paid version, like how would you rate this, like how would you rate this title, like for engagement, for this, for that, on a scale of 1 to 10.
So
and
that's why you put my name in the title, right?
There you go. So yeah, so we ask like ChatGPT questions like that. How would you rate this? And then like that's like one way. That is the simplest way you can use AI. That like use ChatGPT to review your content very quickly, right? That's one way. Something that we are including in our member launch app, I'll tell you. So on our member launch app, what we are finding is that like what are the most difficult things that associations have to do right now, right? So one difficult thing that associations have is ongoing marketing for their events and everything else, events and content. So if you can do marketing automation, if you can use some marketing automation to automatically like promote your content, promote your events and whatnot, I think that there is like a huge opportunity there, marketing automation, right? Marketing automation beyond what was available before. So before it was like routine marketing automation, but now we are getting into the world of smart marketing automation where it's like based on the audience and like it's smarter, right? So based on what a member actually needs. So that's one area that we are investing in big time. But another huge area that we are investing in is maintaining the community. Like maintaining our online discussion forum is feels like a lot of work for a lot of associations. So they think that, what, I don't have the time to really like monitor and moderate that many like posts and threads on our online community, right? So what we are doing is that like we're building a feature where we will read the sentiment of posts, like do a sentiment analysis to like rate aggression, rate vulgarity, or like what is the sentiment of this one post, and track the post based on that. So meaning like the AI on our member launch app will automatically moderate and send you notifications whenever there's something that you like don't think is acceptable on your forum, right? So then the maintenance burden that you thought you had on your community will go down significantly. So how we are investing in AI is like, what are the most difficult things associations are finding nowadays? How can we make it easy with AI? So if you can find tools, that can do that for you, I think that is like where like you should like invest in the AI. Another area that we are working on is in customer support, and this has been there for some time, like virtual agents, virtual chatbots. So we are investing heavily on that right now, and then we are coming up with a way where our virtual agent will actually like reply to members' question based on whatever like policies and guidelines you have at your association. This is not a generic thing, right? Based on whatever data you have, whatever your policies are, our chatbot will actually be trained to like know all the answers. To a point, next step, we will take it to a point in the future, and that's in the roadmap. I don't know how long it'll take us to launch that, but if you ask a regular association like professional question to the chatbot, we will go out to the resource library, fetch the answer from there, and it's almost like you're actually like talking to a mentor at the association that knows the entire content library. So that is where we are headed. So this is still a little, I think, like far out. It won't like launch in the next couple of months, but yeah, but the smaller features will be launched very soon. I think this is the next opportunity for associations.
Brilliantly said. I think that's very impressive. Yeah.
Alrighty, good. So I'll take the last question for today. I think Barbara has a question. Oh yeah, Barbara is saying like free tool to test email subject lines, subjectline.com. There you go. Wonderful,
There you go.
wonderful.
Yeah, good.
Okay. So I'll take the last question for today from Chris Rockholt. So Chris is asking, what do you foresee being the greatest challenges for growing memberships in 2024?
Wow. That's a great question. I think, and I wish I could say there's a single challenge. I do think budgets are clearly an issue and everyone is financially strapped. But, we're seeing, a very strong economy. People are buying out there. And so I think getting the word out there and spending the money to market is critical. I think that would be a challenge. And as I said, I think that if you're struggling with value proposition, spending some time to really tighten down that value proposition and show people what's in it for me would certainly be a strong support. And it's interesting. A year or two ago, I heard from a CEO of an association, and he said to me, "Tony, why do we need membership? People have Google." Well, now they're going to say, why do we need membership? People have ChatGPT. People have artificial intelligence. And so, again, associations are going to need to be vital and resilient and use these new technologies to drive success. And the person who just said, testing subject lines with artificial intelligence makes total sense and taking advantage of that. One of the interesting things is we have contracts now that say you cannot use artificial intelligence to write copy. They want actual people writing the copy. So that's kind of a strange thing. So how to integrate that, I think, will be a big issue in 2024 for associations.
Right. And if you ask me, I think like my like the way I see the biggest challenge in 2024 is cutting through the noise. All the channels are getting so noisy nowadays. Marketing is increasing, everything is increasing, right? So we have to make sure we can cut through the noise, and like Tony said, that like dialing your value proposition really well. And then I think so how do you cut through the noise? That's what we try to do with our member launch app, is have all the marketing and everything more personalized. And I think like Tony, you are doing some of that on the Facebook ads as well. So the ads are more personalized. So if you can do more personalized messaging, more personalized, like push or campaigns, I think that will be key, cutting through the noise and based on what people need.
Great points.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I don't see any additional questions and we're running out of time for today. Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been amazing.
I've enjoyed it. Happy to come back next year and share the 2024 data.
I would love that. Tony, how can people keep in touch with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. Just plug in Tony Rossell. I'm on LinkedIn and be happy to chat with anyone. My email address is tony@marketinggeneral.com. So I was one of the first people to get email. So it's just a first name, but we stuck with it. So either of those, you're welcome to reach out to me, and I'd love to interact with you. I really appreciate the time today. It's been a real pleasure.
Alrighty. So that was the episode with Tony Rossell today. Once again, we hold a lot of events throughout the year. So we hold, I think, like 3 events per month. So there's a lot going on. So if you want to find out more about our events, you can find them on our website at memberlounge.app. That is memberlounge, all one word, .app. And I hope you got some actionable ideas today. And like I always say that when you get overloaded with a lot of information, don't try to act on everything. Find 1 or 2 key pieces that you can act on immediately. What really moves the needle is the action, not the idea. So you have to act, you have to take action. So with that, we wish you all the best with your membership journey, and I'll see you on the next webinar. Bye for now.